There I am. Oh my goodness, I finally worked it out. Okay, so I am so excited. I did have a podcast over the pandemic and it was called The Inner Game of Winning. And I've decided to bring it back under the new logo that I have, which is a champion's mindset. And I've just noticed I have one of these beautiful cards. Start each day with a grateful heart, definitely. So I am so grateful, speaking of a grateful heart, to be here and starting these episodes again. So I'm known as a mindset and performance coach, as some of you know, and I've had the pleasure of working with the most amazing athletes and performers over the last 18 years. And I would love to dive in today and talk about all of the mental strategies that make the difference between great athletes and the greatest of all time. When I say the greatest of all time, what sort of athletes come to mind with you? I know if you're a basketball person, perhaps you're thinking about the Michael Jordans or perhaps LeBron or Kobe or somebody like that. If we think of the greatest of all time when it comes to gymnastics, who's the first person who comes to mind? For me, Simone Biles. Oh my goodness, what a woman, what an athlete. So what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks is actually sharing a whole lot of rituals. I have a 6-part strategy and it's called The Inner Game of Winning. And I'm going to unpack different aspects of that each week for you so that you can start, whether you are an athlete, a performer, or perhaps a coach of an athlete or a performer or a basketball team or a sporting team of any sort. Let's face it, mindset underpins everything that athlete or performer is going to be able to achieve. It's fine to be in the gym, pumping weights, practicing your skills if we're talking basketball. But the bottom line is, unless what you've got between your ears is supporting you, you are never, or your team is never going to develop to their true potential. The Inner Game of Winning 6-part strategy that I have has all to do with mindset, self-esteem, self-belief, visualization, rituals. What rituals do you have before you compete? Pardon me. Or if it's a team that you coach, what rituals do you have to set them up for success? Because those rituals are going to create the framework that's going to make the difference, believe me. It's also about how do we drive peak performance? How do we bounce back, or I prefer to say bounce forward from setbacks? For example, the Denver Nuggets lost last night. Now, they were expected to win, but they've got to learn to bounce forward. Actually, it'll be forward that way for you guys. So to bounce forward and to just let it go. I'd like to share a story about a beautiful team that I first started coaching. My daughter was at Manly Warringah Basketball Association rep squad back in Australia, and she was in, I think, the 10 and unders or perhaps the 12 and unders, and her coaches found out what I did. And they said, would you please work with us, Kathryn? They had been together since they were 12. This was the under 22 youth league, and they had never won a state championship. Now, Brad Dalton, who was a former dual Olympian, was the head of Manly Warringah Basketball Association, and he was their coach. So they had great skills, believe me, but they did not have this self-belief as a team that they were capable of winning a state championship. Can you relate? If you're a coach, do you have a team that doesn't believe in themselves? Now, back then, Brad had not worked with me, so he tacked 2 20-minute sessions onto the end of their training. Not the most ideal time when they're tired. However, I took it. And in those 20-minute sessions, we really unpacked the things that were getting in their way. Definitely what I noticed when I was actually watching them train was when they missed a shot, even though they were on the court, they weren't on the court. They were busy in their head, beating themselves up for missing that shot. Can you relate to that? So I came up with a little saying, and they would call it out to each other. And anytime they missed a shot or turned over the ball or didn't make their free throw, they would actually call out to each other, flush it, flush it. And I said, it's like flushing it down the toilet. You got to let that go in 1/100th of a second so that you can be back present on the court. Now, I did all sorts of things with them. We had very specific rituals that we set off. And I couldn't get to their games, but Brad would take them out on the court, warm them up, and then bring them back to the locker room. And when they were back there, he would get me on my phone, put me on speakerphone, and I would set off their rituals. First of all, we cleaned out all the crap, all of the lack of belief and all of the judgments they had about the members of their team. Because here's the thing, even though we don't speak about our limiting beliefs about perhaps members of our team or perhaps about our coach or whatever it is, they're going to feel it anyway. So one of the many things I get them to do is to write down very privately somewhere that no one else is going to see it, the limiting beliefs that they have, not only about themselves, but if they're in a team, the members of their team. And then we scribble all over it, not true. We rip it to shreds. We stick it in the garbage where it belongs. So there are so many rituals that I do to clean out the garbage and then to stack all of the self-belief. And then I set off these rituals, right? We have a thing called the Circle of Excellence, and they are totally tuned into playing amazingly. Well, guess what? They started winning every game. They not only won every game, they got to the state finals of the state championship. And I'll see if I can bring up a picture of them. Maybe I can. I am getting back used to using StreamYard, and I don't know. Let's see if I go present and image file. I've already done that. So let's just see, maybe present, share screen. No, that's not going to work. That's a shame. I was going to show you a picture of them because what happened, thankfully I could get there for the actual grand finals, because every game after that first 20-minute session, they started winning. Now, they were coming 5th halfway through the season. But when we cleaned out all of the nonsense that was up here and in their hearts, it was stopping them from being as brilliant as they could be, they just really started excelling. Thankfully, I couldn't get to their games because my daughter had games at the same time, right? But thankfully, by the time they got to the grand final, Samara's team had been knocked out. So I was there and the girls were ahead the whole time. Just on time, just before the end of the game, the other team caught up. Now, I went down and I said to them, girls, this has nothing to do with skill. You've been ahead the whole game. This has to do with whether or not you believe you deserve it. I said, I know you deserve it. If you know you deserve it, get out there and claim it. And of course, they won the state championship for the first time ever. So have a little think about it. There are so many things that get in the way. One of the things is the inner critic. And in another episode, probably next week, because it's such an important part of the inner game, is to actually reprogram that nasty voice that tells you you're not clever enough, good enough, fast enough, whatever it is in your sport or chosen field that you're listening to this. Because not only do I work with athletes and performers on their mindset, I speak in colleges, I speak in high schools, and I empower young people to become, like my book says, become your number one fan instead of your own worst enemy, and how to silence your inner critic and live the life of your dreams. So next week, I will be teaching you all how to reprogram that nasty voice. For now, I want you to think about what is there that you say to yourself if you're the athlete, when you stuff up, or if you're the coach, what do you say to yourself when your team's just not doing it? Another thing, by the way, that I will be speaking about, I'll be speaking at the WBCA conference as well about this, is how to make sure that your message lands with every member of your team. If you're a coach, you're going to want to be watching that one. So let me just recap on what I wanted to cover with you today, because this is just really an intro to what we've got coming up. So let's think about different athletes and different aspects of their mindset that really made the difference. The difference that took them from great to the greatest of all time. So we've got Michael Jordan. He was relentless in his mindset, his visualization techniques, and his work ethic. And he had a performance coach. Serena Williams, the power of self-belief that was instilled in her at a very young age, and affirmations. Serena also uses breathing techniques and meditation. Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality and the pre-game rituals that he set up for himself. Tom Brady, his ability to block out doubt when it really mattered and focus on the long term. And Simone Biles, as I mentioned, she visualizes, she has a mental performance coach. She also has some breathing techniques, which I'll share my breathing techniques that really make a huge difference in another one. And Novak Djokovic as well. He meditates, he has breathing exercises and unwavering belief. Novak can be down, I don't know, love 40 and about to lose the whole game. And he just digs deep. He just digs deep because he has already rehearsed so many times in his mind winning that championship. So these are all the different things that I teach when I coach clients on their mindset. So I hope you found this useful. If you have, please share this, follow me, and really comment. Let me know what it is I can help you with, because I don't want to presume that I know. I would love to get your feedback on, if you're a coach, what are the things that you struggle with? Is it, for example, that you describe a play or a drill and half your team go out and execute and the other half don't? There's a reason why that's happening. So watch my other episodes that are coming up all around making sure your message sticks as a coach. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I will get much more used to this particular StreamYard format, and because I really wanted to show you the picture of the girls when they won the state championship, I was with them. However, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that. So let's just see. Style. That's the style. And that's the banners. And that's the ticker. But somewhere there was a picture. Let's just go present. See if I can do this. Okay, image file. And we'll just show. I think it was called winning. Let's see. It was called. I'm sorry if you can see all of this on the screen. Okay, it was called Winning Smiles. Okay, open. There they are. There we go. I worked out how to do this. You've got to do it on the go. So that was a beautiful under-22 youth league that I had the amazing honor of coaching. And I've worked with Brad since then on other teams and taken them to massive success when they were getting thrashed. They'd lost all their star players. They didn't believe that they could win without their star players, because the year before they'd won the national championships back in Australia. And then 3 Sudanese boys that were in the team were over here in the US on college scholarships, and he was left with a team that really didn't think they could win. And of course, they won. They won by 30 points, by the way, over a team that had thrashed them twice during the conference final. So this mindset stuff, honestly, it's 90%. It's 90% of whether or not you as an athlete or performer or as a coach, your team is going to excel or not. So if you would like my help to come in and work with you one-on-one, or perhaps join one of my groups, or have me come out and work with your team, either in person or on Zoom, I would love that opportunity. But in the meantime, keep an eye out for my next one. I'll be doing this every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, which I believe is probably about Hawaii, where I used to live, is about midday, I think, probably midday there. And then in Australia, it's very early in the morning the following day on Monday. So I hope you found this valuable. Please let me know. Comment below on what your challenges are and how I can help you and your team. Until next week, ciao for now.